Hey friends, it's April 13th, 2024, and I was out in the garden fertilizing, so I decided that there has been some changes and some accomplishments made in the last couple of weeks, so I wanted to go ahead and just share with you all what it looks like now. And I'll also share with you with the flowers and different things that are going on. So real quick, up here by our screen room, I put in this little flower bed, and these phlox are already starting to fade on me, but I need to mulch it in here. But I did some really drought tolerant plants in here with these purple ones, and I forget what these purple ones are called. They look like sage, but I'm not sure what the variety is. And then I got some heather down here, and I just put that up the other day, and I still have to finish mulching it. And then over there is my jasmine and the lemon sedum, our pool. And then turning around, you see the garden walk that we have going towards the garden. And then in this planter here, we'll just look at the flowers. This is the Serious Blue Sage that I grew from seed last year. And I got a red salvia and a red calibrachoa in there that has yellow center. So with that, the sage is established in there, but the other two flowers are new. So they are working on getting filled out and spilling over. And the next planter, I have the dahlias that I planted. I purchased several of these from the local feed store. And I also poked in a little purple petunia. That is a hibiscus plant that has been growing in that pot for several years. It just dies back in winter and comes back. And then here are some double pink calibrachoas. And those are still somewhat new. They haven't, it's been cool here. It hasn't really warmed up. So nothing has really jumped yet as far as the garden and the flowers. The flowers that have been established since, for months now are jumping. The cooler weather tolerant plants, but not the new ones that I've put in. And so in this one we just have some Dusty Miller, some snapdragons, which are this lovely orange and pink color. And then I have tucked in there some yellow calibrachoas. And then we have a marigold that I grew from seed. It's starting to look scraggly. And then in this planter we have the more of the Serious Blue Sage, some yellow calibrachoas, some blue pansies, and some of the fuchsia geraniums, which I absolutely love, and I've been collecting those up to add to the flowers this year. This is just a bicolor mum that I've had in this pot for a few years that has started flushing out. In my Persian lime tree, I just have some purple petunias and some sage that's been growing in here for a couple years. And then I have a berry treasure strawberry tucked in there. And then that's my Japanese plum. And there's nothing growing in the understory there. And then over here in the shade, I have some of my peppers and flowers that I tucked over here during the winter so that they would be protected. And it seems like that worked because my peppers did not die back. And they are just now starting to put on little flowers and even some peppers. And then right there what you see is my aloe going blooming. I have a whole row of aloe that keeps multiplying back there as part of a border to the flower bed that's behind there that just has shrubs and canna lilies. And there's a big ligustrum shrub that I've had for several years right there that's starting to get big finally. And then this planter right here, I've got some white Johnny jump ups and some of the Serious Blue Sage, and I just absolutely love this Serious Blue Sage. I got this particular seed packet from rareseeds.com at Baker Creek, but I highly recommend it because it's just a gorgeous color. It's a perfect height and it can withstand a lot of frost and a lot of heat and a lot of drought. And the next planter, we have some more snapdragons. These were from winter, but they are doing good. I'm probably going to have to move the other snapdragons in the shade because these are still doing good over here because they're in the shade. And when it gets hot, these snapdragons will fade. Here's some more of that fiery orange color and some of this bright burgundy red. Got some blue pansies growing in there. And then on the other side of this pot, I have some curly parsley, onions. That's garlic chives back there. This pot has onions. This one is a purple mum and some peppers and pentas. And I just planted this planter. The sedum was in here, but I moved the mum out because it's not the season for it. And I popped in a beautiful hot pink geranium and some pink petunias. So that's why you still see dirt right there, is because I just put those things in so they have to fill out. In this pot I have some more of my beautiful gold lemon sedum, and all of this sedum that's growing in all these pots and everywhere came from one little piece of sedum that I got from a garden center. And it just spreads like wildfire. It has fallen on the ground and started rooting in different places, like down there, and it just does what it wants. But it's very beautiful filler flower for these pots, and it makes these bright pinks and different color greens and reds pop. So in here I've got some pink calibrachoas with a yellow center, so they look really good with that yellow sedum. And then I have some purple pansies, and then right next to it in the pot is a really big hot pink geranium that's about to bloom. And then going on this side, I have purchased some more of these pedestal planters. You can get these at Dollar General. I got them for $10. I think when I bought them last year and the year before they were $10 too. But they're really nice size. They have some height to them because of the pedestal, and they are a nice size planter to have for some accent flowers. And in here I have some purple sage. I'm not sure I got the tag in this purple sage. This is not the Serious Blue. It is one from Lowe's. I got these off the clearance rack at Lowe's. And then I popped some of the yellow calibrachoas in there with that. So this is a new planter, so it has not established yet. And then here's my lemon tree. And then here is another planter that I started with those same purple salvias from Lowe's. I was trying to see if any of these ended up with a tag in them to see what variety that was. But there's another fuchsia geranium and some more of those pink calibrachoas with the yellow centers. So that is the garden walk. Out here to the greenhouse and the chicken pen. More of my aloe. See, there's the aloe. That's the aloe that's going to flower right now, and the hummingbirds are loving it. And then over here by the greenhouse, this is what my green stalk is looking like. I got strawberries tucked throughout. Some of my greens are going to seed. My carrots are still going, and my peas are starting to peter out, my purple magnolia peas. And then right here by the greenhouse I have another planter. It's got basil, just Genovese basil, and some hot pink petunias and some yellow snapdragons. And then up here we have a planter with the purple calibrachoas, some white Johnny jump ups, and the dahlias. And then right here, this is not blooming yet, but this is some blue bulbs that I got from Walmart. They were called erythrium, something like that. It's a blue flower. I've never grown it before. Tucked in there is some begonia, some bright red begonia. We also have some yellow calibrachoas and some poinsettias that are left over from Christmas. There's nothing in the greenhouse. The greenhouse is officially empty now because we are April Zone 9. Up here I have a rose and some dill Down here I have an orange tree, some onions, that cut and come again onions that I've been growing for years. This planter, this is one of the older planters from Dollar General. You see it's like a red and bluish color. They've kind of changed this color scheme a little bit, but it's still going strong. It's made out of plastic, but I've had it for at least 3 years and it's still pretty good shape. So in this planter I've got some purple blue pansies, some of those hot pink variegated geraniums. I tucked in a couple of cosmos, little sweet ones. I think those are the seashells. And then I got a hot pink petunia. Right next to that is some garlic chives. And then up here on the grow out station, I've got this many plus a couple more in the garden of tomatoes left over. So hopefully I find somebody to give them to, because I'm pretty much run out of space for tomatoes. In here I have some amaranth, that's some Joseph's Coat amaranth, and I just started some Florenza sunflowers from Baker Creek. So that's what all that is, the sunflowers. And then over here I got a couple of coreopsis and some more of those sunflowers. So I got a pack of sunflower seeds, and everywhere where the little tiny transplants didn't make it, because sometimes this dries out pretty quickly, and I just tucked in a sunflower seed in that little cell. So that's what we got going on up here. Got some more coreopsis down here and some other things I'm starting. Dill, pepper plant, it's my chili pepper from last year. It's still going. It's just finally flowering. But up here on the planting station, I've just started harvesting some of my purple onions, because they're starting to go to seed. So I never grow really big onions, but this year I did grow the biggest onions I've ever grown, or comparable to any onions I've grown. So I don't ever grow big giant onions, but I grow a ton of them. And you can see that even though it doesn't have a big bulb, there's a lot of onion to work with right there, because I keep all the tops. I pull them before the tops die, and I keep them and chop them all up for green onions, and I harvest the bottom as regular onions. So that's just a few that I pulled up. I'm going to start working on these. I've got probably 200 or 300 onions to go through before it's over with. And then in this little planter I made here, I've got a little herb garden, and this is just one of our nursery pots, and I've got basil, I've got some cosmos, some cilantro, dill, and I got a salvia tucked in there. I've got some purple basil, a couple of onions, and a rosemary down there. And right here, somewhere right here, is I think some savory or marjoram also that I planted there. So that's my little closer to the house herb garden, as well as that over there. So we've been trying to combine function with beauty. And then in this little strawberry planter, I have another one of those sages. It's still going through some shock. I've been watering it pretty good, but we also have some strawberries that we've tucked in there. They're coming through transplant shock. And then over here in these little tray, I have started some beets. I've got 2 rows of beets I've started here. They've just started coming up. I seeded some honeydew melon, some petite yellow watermelon, some Sierra Gold, and Crenshaw cantaloupes. So far the cantaloupes haven't done anything. I don't know if they will, because they're kind of old seeds, but I'm trying, and the beets are coming up already. And then this tray, I just keep growing flowers and peppers and everything else, and just keep refilling them with seeds once I pull some out to transplant them. So these 1, 2, 3, 4 rows are the Rhapsody Rose salvia and the Blue Sky Dance salvia that we got from Baker Creek the other day. So you can see they are coming up. In this one I got zinnias, the green envy zinnias, and both of these both of these little rows right here. And then I planted some more Jerusalem or sunflowers. And then in these I planted some African and English daisies. And then these are some snapdragons right here. And then this one on the end is that Apopio amaranth that I got from Baker Creek recently. And then down here at the end I got another herb garden. These are basically some volunteer dill and purple basil that came up in some of these grow bags, and I just transplanted them into here. I got some Swiss chard in here. I got a salvia and a rosemary plant and a couple of datil peppers back here that I've just tucked in to see how they would do. So that's another little planter full of stuff to eat and pretty things to look at. So without further ado, we'll go head towards closer to the garden, see what's going on. That's a lovely train. So it is time for some weed eating. It finally got warmed up some and everything has jumped up. I've got all kinds of volunteer greens over there, and in this bed right here it needs to be weeded again, but I've got the red salvias, got Dusty Miller, I've got my red trumpet shaped amaryllis, got the red and white amaryllis, and they are blooming. I've got red solid red ones that look like this on the other side of my yard that I've been harvesting to do arrangements in my house, and they look so gorgeous because they're tall and bright red. And then here's one of my rose bushes, and I'm not sure what kind of rose this is. It was given to me. It's got a yellow center and it's burgundy, but it's really pretty and it's really prolific, and it's happy right there where it gets some morning sun. And then on the other side I've got some volunteer Mexican sunflowers that I'm going to be moving over here. Some more amaryllis. This is the red sage salvia that's been here for several years. It comes back. And then I've got some sunflowers that have volunteered in here. More of the Mexican sunflowers. And this whole thing needs to be weeded because you can barely see what's in there. But I've been so busy trying to get my garden into the ground, and it got warm and got crazy on me real quick. So that's another thing for another day. There is my red climbing rose that I've had on this trellis right here for the last couple of years. There is the white one. So the white one has not flowered for me. I think it might be a year, maybe 2 years old. So it should be getting close. There's white climber on this side. So I got a white climber on that side and a red climber on that side. But it just started to bloom. So we are transitioning. It's April. So I'm starting to pull out greens and put in summer stuff. We'll start over here in this corner. So we got this bed cleaned out all the way down to that last file cabinet right there. And I planted a lot in here. So I planted those red Hidatsu shelling beans from Baker Creek along the wall because they're pole beans. And I planted from there to there all the way to that first file cabinet right there. I planted my tomatillas this year. So they didn't get a bed. They did get a bed, but they got this long skinny bed because I figured it would help if I could just tie strings around them and tie it to the fence to hold them up because they always get big. These particular ones are the Burpees Organic Verde tomatillas. So I just picked those up from Walmart. I could not find my yellow Chupa tomatillas that I grew last year. So I just picked up the first ones that I found and planted them, and that's what we got this year. Sometimes things go like that. You just have to roll with the punches and do what you can when you have the time and get them in. So Down here, I did plant a couple of cucumbers down there. I think those are Space Master. And then down along the edge right there, I planted Henderson bush lima beans. Those are the big green bush limas that I've been growing for the last few years. And so they start down here and they go all the way around to about that little stick right there. And then the rest of the ones from the stick down to there, I have yellow wax green beans planted, bush beans planted right there. So that's what we got on this wall. And then on this wall back here, I planted rattlesnake pole beans all throughout there because I feel like it's late to get my beans, way later than normal. And I usually plant a lot in cells and transplant them, but this year I just shoved them all on the ground and watered them. So that's how we're rolling this year. We're just getting things in the ground. We had summer back in February, and then March and April we had spring again. Not a cold spring, just a cool, mild spring. So nothing's jumping yet, but these tomatillas have grown a lot since I put them in the ground. This bed was put in last Saturday, so a week ago, and I have not fertilized it yet. I did put fertilizer down, but I haven't watered in fertilizer in this bed yet because it's still just getting established. So we got a lot in here. We got those red Hadatsu shelling beans. We got rattlesnake pole beans for green beans. We got Cherokee wax bush beans. We got lima beans. We got some cucumbers down at the end. And we got some Henderson lima beans down here. And we got, sorry, I already said that. We got some tomatillas, about 24 of them. So that's probably more tomatillas than I've ever grown in one bed before. But I just planted seeds like I always do. And whatever came up and survived to be transplanted got planted. So we'll step out of there. Here's the purple onions that I've been harvesting. You see they're going to seed, and that's what I had on the table over there. And then behind that is my yellow zucchini. So I never did get a chance to put the row covers on the yellows or on the zucchini and the summer squash like I normally do. So that's why they're still scrawny, but they are starting to make squash. And I just fertilized them with Dr. Earth Bloom, and I'll show you what I'm working with over there, what I'm fertilized with that I have heard a lot of good things about, especially for squash. Deep South Homestead said that they started using it and they haven't had no vine borers since then. So I got to fertilize it with something, so I might as well use that and see if that actually works, because vine borers are an issue here in Florida just like they are in Mississippi. So pretty bad. We try to get things super early in the ground, as early as we can get them. That's why I do the row covers. But this year we're just doing what we can and seeing how it comes out. So far the onions have done beautifully. I just start buying onions close to fall, and I get bags of bulbed onions, and I get onion starts from the feed store, and I plant seeds of onions, and I just start planting onions everywhere. That way in the spring I'll have plenty of onions. I use lots of onions to make when I put up my tomatoes to make salsa with, because I use my salsa versatile. I put onions and peppers and herbs in my salsa just like I would make salsa, and I use that in spaghetti and anything that calls for chili or anything that calls for tomatoes, and I don't have to add any extra tomatoes or peppers. So that's why I like to grow lots of peppers and tomatoes. Down here we have that half the bed's still the same. It's got my fennel, some mustard, some spinach, and some Swiss chard. And then I just poked in these tomato plants. I've got 4 of them poked in here. And then in the front I've got some daddle peppers, some hot cherry peppers, my Hatch chilies are right there. And then I've got some zinnias. And then there's a few baby chard that I popped in around that chard right there. And then there's still a couple cabbage left. Those are the last of the cabbage. Maybe a couple, one or two, maybe somewhere else. But for the most part, I've cleaned out the cabbage. And then the bed that I used for the herbs last year, I've just been tucking in flowers. And there's still carrots in there, and kale, and some cilantro that's going to seed. So as I pull that out, I'm going to be adding more flowers and herbs to that bed. And then in this file drawer, I had to move my file drawers because I put a whole new bed in this year. And I haven't planted anything in this spot. It has a collard green in it that's over a year old. And then this side, I planted snapdragons in there and some daisies. So there is a bed of sweet yellow or orange snacking peppers. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8 of them in that little bed. And then nothing except for my collards that are over a year old go into seed in that bed. And turning around, there's a cabbage left in here. And then this bed I just planted potatoes in. So these are late potatoes that I just planted like a week and a half ago in here. I planted the rest of my potatoes back in February. But I had some left over that I'd forgotten about, and I found them, so I decided to go ahead and plant them just to see if they make anything. If they make more than what they were, then they'll be worth it, because I just had this empty bed here. And then in my tires, I've got my magnolia and my sugar daddy sweet sugar snap peas. I've already picked a big old load of these, and now I've got another load, and we've been constantly eating off of these. So these have done really, really well this year. They're loving this extra nice spring that we're having that hasn't turned off hot yet. And then here is the new bed. This is where the file drawers were. So right at in the end is where I do fall carrots at. And then I put that bed, it's 6 foot long and 30 inches wide. And then I've got another container here that I'm going to fill up and plant flowers or peppers in. But what we have in here is, on this row right here, we have daisies and snapdragons, painted daisies and snapdragons. And then right here we have some basil, and then we have some more basil. So this whole row right here is basil, different kinds of basil. There's some lettuce leaf basil, some Thai basil, some spicy basil, and then this next, and then there's some sunflowers down there. And then right there we got a whole row of datil peppers. And then in the front of the datil peppers, right here and right here, we have the buena mulata, which is a purple hot pepper that looks like a cayenne pepper, but it's purple. And then in the back rows, well, right over here, we got the green night. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the green night, or 3. Maybe it's just 3 of the green night eggplant. And I just picked that up from Walmart every year. And then, let's see what this is. What did we plant here? Oh, so that's more datil pepper. And then, and this little row right here is the sweet Lisa peppers. So those are from Baker Creek, and they are a sweet, thick-shelled small pepper, and they're spelled Leysa. And so that's what that is. So we got Lisa peppers, green night eggplant, datil peppers, more datil peppers. We got some buena mulata peppers right there. Basil, cardinal basil, all different kinds of basil going down that aisle. And then daisies and snapdragons down the end. And then here in my carrot bed, as I call it, I got more peppers. I got datil peppers. I've got 2 buena mulata peppers in the front. And I got some Marconis. These right here are Marconis. And then I got, what is that? Some more Lisa peppers on the end. So we got sweet, sweet, sweet. And then at the very end, we got some datil peppers. And then we got a couple of the buena mulatas. And those balls you see in there, that is rabbit manure. And that is the best fertilizer that has ever been made. And I wanted to show you, this is the fertilizer that is fertilized today. It's a liquid fertilizer. It really smells and looks the same as fish emulsion. But apparently there's something special in there, and hopefully it is, because it's priced accordingly. But I got that off Amazon. I'm sure that you can probably find it in other garden retailers. But that's what we are fertilizing with today. Our first liquid fertilizer of the year. And in this bed right here, we've got some colossal jalapenos. We've got some amaranth and some zinnias. I did plant spaghetti squash right here, but they did not do very well because they got stressed in the container and dried out, so a few of them have died. So I might go and poke in some seeds, some seeds for spaghetti squash, and see how those do. On the other side, and I got a couple cucumbers that I've poked in. And then we got some more flowers here, and then in this right here, we got some alyssum and different flowers right there. And also in here, we got some alyssum, and I don't know what that other flower is. It might be a coreopsis or something. And then we got some cardinal basil and zinnias. And then all these right here are banana peppers. And then we got more zinnias, more Joseph's Coat amaranth, another zinnia, and the spaghetti squash that don't look like it's doing very well. And that right there is the end of my peppers. So hopefully someone will come and relieve me of those peppers. A lot of them are datil peppers. So all the free seeds from Baker Creek got me plenty of datil peppers this year. In this thing right here, I just have a few of the purple bush beans, purple potted bush beans. It didn't germinate very well, so I just left it the way it is, and we should be getting some beans from it pretty soon. And here we have the potatoes. These are the oldest potatoes. And then this bed back here, I have not done anything with it, but my plan is to plant flowers and whatever's left over in there. This is still empty. All of this is still empty. So that's all a bunch of real estate that I can get back as soon as I can get it cleaned out. So right here is some Tabasco peppers, some banana trees, some dwarf banana trees. And then in this thing right here, this is my arch trellis. I moved it over here to these two concrete planters. And I got some basil, some marigolds, and some eggplant. I've got several of the Chinese string eggplants, got a couple of fish peppers over there, and some of those Mataki melons from Baker Creek. They're like the Armenian cucumbers, but they're different. And so I planted them there this year. And then I also planted, right here, I planted spaghetti squash. And on the other side, and there's some of the cosmos that we started from seed. More of the cosmos we started from seed. And then this little thing right here, I planted some more sunflowers. And on this side of this little rail, I have some cucumbers. And these are Space Master Bush cucumbers planted on this side. I got a few zinnias. So that's what we got going on there. In the middle, we got celery, which I need to harvest the celery and can it. I like canning my celery. The celery that I grow in my garden holds up very well to canning, and it's super easy to dump it into some soup or chicken and dumplings or something like that, and it still holds its texture. It's not hard. It's the same as if you would have boiled it or sauteed it. So I love having the celery. I do it in little 8 ounce jars with water and a little salt, and it works perfect. So I got to get on that. I've been canning all of my cabbage, making coleslaw. So in this bed right here, we got some cucumbers, a lot of basil around the outside, different kinds of basil. I did poke in some seeds for some melons in here. The melons that I just recently got from Rare Seeds is a honeymoon melon is what it's called, but I did poke some seeds in there because these cucumbers got stressed before I could get them into the ground, and they were looking sad, but probably because it's just not warm yet. It's plenty warm, but it's not warm. It's, 60, 70 degrees, which is a blessing in zone 9. And then we got some zinnias, some more of the basil and cosmos, and then I just have a broccoli plant that I'm letting seed everywhere right there. No, let me switch back around. Still going down the center. This is my green zucchini, and I got some cosmos poked in the sides, and these are I think the biggest plants, but they haven't started making zucchini yet. Look how pretty that cosmos is. It's bright fuchsia. They haven't started putting on any flowers yet. They've just been growing. But last year I grew zucchini in the same bed, and it did amazing. It put out so much zucchini. I've got bags and bags and bags of shredded zucchini in my freezer, just waiting for its day to shine with some zucchini bread. So hopefully we'll have the same luck this year. So in this bed I just have some collards and some mustards, and then back in the back I've got dill and bachelor button and mustard seed, mustard greens. So I have cleared out all the cabbage and everything from this little section, and I've got 2 rows of okra, and it looks like I'm gonna have enough okra come up that I can transplant some more somewhere else. And then I've got 2 rows of beets, and they are all coming up. So I did all this stuff on Sunday, and now they are coming up, and I got a couple zinnias tucked in there. And then just today I marked off this little section right here, and I planted purple plum radishes, which are my favorite radishes. If you like radishes, you should grow the purple plums because they're absolutely gorgeous, and they come in a variety of sizes. You can get them small, they get big, they just have a good, wonderful crunch to them, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So who doesn't like visually pleasing food? So right here I got my second bed of potatoes that I started, and these are mostly Yukon Golds, just like the other bed, with a few purple heirloom something potatoes. And then here in this bed right here, I just have some kale that I transplanted over here, and some broccoli that went to seed that I harvested. And those giant things back there are what's called Morris heading collards, and they are massive because there was a lot of nitrogen in this bed. I put a lot of compost and a lot of rabbit manure in that bed, and these Morris heading collards are happy as can be. And now that some of my other collards are going to seed, my older collards, I'm going to start picking on these guys. And here in the front bed, this is slowly but surely getting thinned out. The Chinese giant mustard was the first to go to seed, so I have been pulling it out and giving it to my rabbits, and so all of that is about to be pulled out, and then it'll just be the kale in there, and the kale can stay in there, and I'll plant other stuff with the kale until the kale goes to seed. But a lot of that is dinosaur kale, so it could be there for the long haul. Right next to that I have a planter with giant red Marconi peppers. Then here I've got a volunteer pumpkin that is growing with some yellow wax beans that I planted in that little drum. And then in this front bed by the front gate, I have calendula. I've got some more serious blue sage, a giant dill plant, some onions, and I've been pulling a few onions, some massive onions. You can see the onions down there. I've been pulling out some onions from here, and there's cilantro in here going to seed as well. And then going down, I've been trying to tie up my tomatoes. I've got 5 tomato plants in this little bed right here, and the onions are still in here. So I'm about to start getting all the big ones out, trying to weed it better. And then in this little tire right here, I got a Dr. Witchy and a Rosella tomato. And in this little, and then I got some sunflowers growing back here. And then this back here, this is just a bed of mint that volunteered. And then all of that is volunteer pumpkins that's growing back there. I haven't planted nothing in that bed. This little tire right here has got cranberry beans and these spoon tomatoes. So the spoon tomatoes are in the middle, and then the cranberry beans are growing all around. And this little bed right here are more cranberry beans. And that little bed right there, which I need to weed again, is lettuce. And then, like I said, nothing in there. I've got nothing in that back bed right there. And I've got more lettuce in that little tire. And then flipping around, and if you don't think that you have room to grow plenty of good groceries, this is just a half of a barrel. And I've already pulled out some of these onions, but it's slap full of onions. And these onions are decent. They are definitely decent sized onions. They have bulbed up in here. And so you can grow food. I didn't do nothing special but put some good dirt in there and good compost and poke those onions in there and walk away. And now I'll have a barrel full of onions. And then right here is my green Peter Pan patty pan, and there are some yellow squash in there as well. And then I have a couple volunteer tomatoes growing up through the top. But this one actually has been getting, this one was the first one to get squash, and I've got some decent squash in there. I haven't picked no squash. This is just the very, very, very beginning, April 13th. But there, I saw a bumblebee in here pollinating this morning. So this is my 3rd bed of summer squash, and it is putting on. And then turning around, we got my spring greens bed. All the rest of those greens that you've seen, and cabbages and broccoli, were from the fall. This is the one I planted in spring that I started from seed and seed trays. And there is a lot of cauliflower. I don't know if it'll make. Just trying it out because it's new varieties to me. Usually I can't grow broccoli and cauliflower started from the spring. I have to start in the fall. But I did already harvest all of those white turnips and all of those red turnips from Baker Creek. The white one was called Mayama, and the red one was called Suki Akane, or Suki Akane. And I will grow them forever because they were amazing. They all turned up. They were so delicious, and it didn't take long at all for that to happen. So those are gone. The red mustard is ready to harvest. I do have some fiddler kraut in here, cabbage. I think that's one of the fiddler kraut cabbages. I don't know if it'll do anything, but it's trying. It's definitely trying. And then down here I just have some radishes, and they've started making little radishes down there. Red mustard is looking wonderful. And then the next bed I got my potatoes, my 3rd row of potatoes. And then next door to the potatoes I have my crookneck. I forget what it's called. Something crookneck. It's like a butternut squash from Baker Creek, and it's called something crookneck. And I've got some rapicante squash in there, and I've got some Cozell squash. It's the first time I've grown the Cozelli, maybe. growing that. But I think this is summer squash, but I've heard that it vines. So that's also growing in there. So that is my vining squash, the rampicane, the crookneck, butternut, and some cazelli squash. And I'm probably saying the cazelli squash wrong. This bed I have cleaned out, and I've got 4 tomatoes in here and some marigolds, and then I've got 2 rows from here down is Dixie white butter peas, and then the last half is just the dazzling blue kale going to seed. On this side I've got my determinate tomatoes, and these are the celebrities. I've got some saucy ladies, some tachis, but mostly is tachi right there. But mostly these are celebrities. So I've got some sunflowers tucked in, and then down here at the end I have a big boy indeterminate with some cranberry beans. I don't have nothing planted in there. I planned on planting cranberry beans in there, but I haven't yet. And then this row is the indeterminates. So this is big boy hybrids, pink ox hearts, and chef's choice black. These are all the first ones that I did. I got the big boys from Lowe's, and they were already started plants, and I planted the pink ox hearts and the chef's choice black back in January in seed trays, and they all got flowers. I saw some tomatoes. I'm just starting to get my first tomatoes. I thought I saw some on these indeterminates this morning, but I know these celebrity hybrids have got little tiny tomatoes. So those are the first summer tomatoes that we've got April 13th on the celebrities, and they have all kinds of flowers on them. And after today, since I fertilized them a while ago, they'll have even more. And then in this bed right here, I got some sunflowers, some basil, and some I got a couple of those Makati melons, cucumber melons. And then on the other side, they didn't do well here at first, so only a few of them made it through transplant. But on this side, I planted some muncher cucumbers, and these are all just now starting to look good because it's been warm. It's been cool at night. They didn't like that. So now everything's starting to go. This is basil, different kinds of basil in here, and I got some Gaillardia right there, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep that there. It might be too wet and too shaded, so I might end up moving it to the front yard. I've got started some out in the front yard, so I might be moving those. And then on the back wall, I got a pepper plant here that survived the winter, but I might end up pulling it out because it doesn't look very good. The last of my few tomatoes that I haven't planted, I've been using these trays right here to pop in ones that don't make it in transplant. And several of these are the Sart La Rose and the Chef's Choice Black, looks like. And then back here, I just have a whole row of indeterminate tomatoes. So I'll go over the varieties that are back here. Mostly in these other beds, they're just groupings, like I've been giving you the names of what's planted there. In the front bed up there is Chef's Choice Black and Pink Oxheart and Big Boys. So I try to keep all of my determinates to this one bed. That way I remember and kept them together, so I don't prune them the same as my indeterminates. So we got a Sart La Rose, Sart La Rose, Sart La Rose, and that is a purple tomato that when it is ripe, the bottoms are yellow. So it's a purple and yellow tomato. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the tang and flavor profile of the purple tomato and the sweetness of the yellow tomato, which is, I think, is going to be an awesome combination. So that's more Sart La Rose. That's a big boy hybrid right there. And next to it is a Rosella, which is a saladette style cherry tomato. Next to that is a Comstock sauce, so it's kind of like a Roma sauce tomato. And I don't know which one that is, so it could be a big boy. Next to that one is a pink oxheart, and next to that one is a pink oxheart. And I have nothing in this bed yet. And then down here I have another row of tomatoes. And these are, I got a Tachi in here. I've got some Chef's Choice Black and pink oxheart and big boy. So the first ones I started were the pink oxhearts and the Chef's Choice Black back in the very beginning. So those were my biggest tomatoes when it got time to plant tomatoes. And then in this bed, I've got a jalapeno that survived the winter under this tree right here, and it's doing okay. It's starting to flower again, so I left him in there. And then I think this is a banana pepper next to it that survived the winter, and then all of these peppers in this bed with it are banana peppers. So that is the full circle of everything that is going on in the garden. Hopefully here soon in the next week or two I'll be able to do another video, because I know things are going to change a lot in the next couple weeks, and hopefully I will have it's time for my weed eating again. But I can't believe that it's been just a week and a half since I weed eated in here and had the yard weeded, and then all this nice weather came and everything is just went crazy. But not like it's going to, because I have a feeling that since we get closer to the end of the month, things are really going to start hopping. Everything has already grown so much since last week whenever I planted the seeds and planted the transplants, and it's just a continuous cycle of life. But I'm very excited to see what we get, because every year in the garden is different. We get different stuff. We have different successes and different failures, and I can't wait to see what we have great success with. Last year we had great success with spaghetti squash and summer squash and zucchini, always with tomatoes, just all different things were happening. Our peppers did really well. We did really good with cucumbers, which has been a couple years since we did good with cucumbers. But we will just have to wait and see how it all goes. And I know that whenever we do the May videos, I'm super excited for May and the garden, because those are the most gorgeous garden tours, because everything is in full bloom and it's right before everything just goes absolutely jungle. So I can't wait to see the sunflowers towering over the garden and all the pretty flowers and tomatoes and garden harvest. So I hope you enjoyed that tour. I know it was long. There's a lot to look at around here, but I just wanted to document everything. That way I can know where I was at on April 13th, 2024 with the garden. And I'm just gonna do some silent panning around for a couple seconds just to get an overview of the garden. sun is so bright that way. And this bed's going to be cleaned out soon. As soon as I harvest this celery, I'm going to be harvesting all of that broccoli out of there. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video, and I hope you enjoyed watching and seeing how the garden's growing right now, and I will talk to you guys later.